I realized something the other night that helped me sleep like a baby in terms of, you know how sometimes we get frustrated with the infighting within the manosphere, within Red Pill ideas, and we can't quite understand why people aren't getting along with generally what we all agree upon. The truths, the liberation, the revelations within Red Pill ideas, the freedom, you know, the clarity is the attractive part. And it's quite understandable where a lot of men are attracted to that. It makes sense. 1 + 1 = 2. It's completely objective, and that's why we want to stay there. It's secure. It makes complete sense. It's clear. But realize this. Red Pill ideas are completely objective, generally speaking. You're completely subjective. Now think about that. And I think this is the friction between guys and the infighting and wanting others to be an exact mirror of them, like the certainty encompassed in the objectivity of Red Pill ideas, the revelations, the freedom. You know, I can do everything I want. But some of the resistance, the friction, and the infighting, I think, comes from that, is not realizing they're two different things. Now, most people think that the library of Red Pill ideas and you, the individual, looks something like this, where you overlap. And if you can achieve this state where it's perfect, where you and somehow Red Pill things come together, you're this Zen perfect thing. But I'm here to tell you that the more I think about it, you're separate from it. The objectivity of it all is very different from your subjective path, what you want to do. You are informed by the subjective aspects of the biology, the mathematics, the science, the empirical observations, the metrics, the data. That makes sense. And for a male, they're great calibrating tools. They're great to be informed by. But if there's no relating, if there's no back and forth between you, the individual, and the objective, rational reality of the data and the mathematics of it all, it's no wonder guys don't actually feel very good. For one thing, they don't like the idea of feeling, but who you are, your subjectivity, what makes you feel good and what makes you feel not so good, what you prefer, what you don't. It's all subjective. And guys need to realize you can't operate with the same brain, the same objective brain that analyzes, reads, and understands Red Pill ideas. That brain is different from the subjective going portion. And I think the friction between a lot of us in the men's community is the inability to see the distinction between the school and the individual, the master and the student. There is a relationship, a back and forth, a processing between objective reality and your subjective life. It's a being sharpened by Red Pill ideas. I've often referenced Paul Proteus's really astute and seminal observation that the majority of men in whatever Red Pill corner they're in the manosphere get stuck in the from stage, and they find it hard, if not impossible, and can't find their way to anything. And most of them actually don't have an interest in the two. I would contend, as many have said, most people aren't built to go their own way, simply because if you don't have an intellectual curiosity and an interest in philosophy, writing, journaling, introspection, finding things out, stoicism, existential answers of meaning, ethics and values, and those kind of things, it's not for you. Even more so if you're only calibrated to the mathematics and the science of it all, because that's just dead information. It's dead because if you don't inform yourself, if you don't process it, if there's no relating the ontology to your subjective life, if there's no epistemology with you, then it's pointless. That's why the guys who don't want to dance with their own humanity, themselves as an individual, their subjective selves, with the objective, reason, logic, math, science, biology, etc., etc. It's almost like an out-of-body experience, I'd imagine. Living over there as like a disembodied you processing and calculating information and feeling great as a mathematician. You see, the going to aspect of Red Pill ideas is creative. It's all about you. It's all very subjective. The objective part of the from aspect of MGTOW and Red Pill ideas is all very conveniently and neatly mathematical, proven, scientific, and so forth, which is great, but that is to be used. You are informed by that. You are not that. You are not a machine of perfection. You're an imperfect, a mapless risk into a direction that kind of makes sense given what you've been informed by, if that kind of makes sense. You can't just live in the space of no. You know, the apophatic, agreed upon, objective stance of Red Pill ideas of no, this is wrong, no, this is unfair, no, women are like this, no, I don't want to give more than I'm rewarded by. It can't just be an apophatic approach of resisting the world, but not going towards anything. And the towards is subjective. I'll repeat that again. The red pill is largely objective, and you that needs to go somewhere is subjective. The knowledge and perhaps the morals of red pill ideas inform your personal ethics. Thought of as another way, one is impersonal and objective, and the other, you, is personal and subjective. This again is the friction. This is the infighting. This is often, I find myself, the individual fighting with the group. And I put my hand up, it's my fault. In a few of my videos earlier this year, I've kept being frustrated with the infighting and the lack of friendship between guys. But I think it's a mental state of not being able to realize that there's no overlap between the objective and subjective. It's an oscillation between the two. One informs the other. You oscillate into one camp to read, and you come back to yourself to inform and calibrate it. But you can't be in the two places at the same time. And I think it's kind of a mental friction a lot of us suffer from. You know, you can think of it another way, like MGTOW is your father, the superego, the parent, the master, the teacher, the one you respect, but you need to imbue those lessons within yourself and inject them in your own bloodstream and see what doesn't work for you. The from aspect of MGTOW is dependence. The to aspect is independence. Most stay in the codependent state of objective MGTOW. There are very little guys that I can speak to that are subjectively themselves while agreeing on the absolutely right aspects of the knowledge, philosophy, science, stats of red pill ideas. I'm not disagreeing with them. I am telling you to make a distinction between the objective and your subjectivity and how you need to relate between the two to feel good about being in your own life. You don't live in the abstract, objective library of red pill ideas. You're informed by it. You aren't red pill as much as you're informed. You're sharpened by red pill ideas. The introspection is done in this subjective state of you, here, not over there. If you're just reading Stardust's astute observations of you can either love a woman or you can understand her, but you can't do both, or TFM's she'll never love you, and they resonate, and you don't come back here to your subjective self and process them and practice them through ethics, they mean very little. You'll just stay in that state, parroting someone else's internalizations and introspections and convincing yourself that they're yours. They're not. You need to come back to your subjectivity and process the objectivity. You have to come back here. basically it comes down to two views. Either Red Pill or MGTOW or whatever in the manosphere is your Bible, or you read its book and you're the author. For me, it's a very personal thing. One view has you as an independent center. The other has you as a follower, as a pious observer, as part of some group. You're the student. Red Pill ideas are the teacher. The master you're learning from, Red Pill ideas, MGTOW, whatever informs you, they can't fight your battles. You have to be informed by it. You have to train, and your subjective life benefits. The reason why perhaps many of us are having trouble going from Red Pill ideas to going our own way anywhere is because we can't see the distinction. The two don't touch. You are informed by the objectivity and lessons and philosophy and science and all the great stuff from Red Pill or MGTOW ideas. You have to take them and apply them to your subjective life. So just realize that distinction, the objectivity of Red Pill and MGTOW ideas versus the subjectivity of your life and how you need to relate one to the other. They're not one in the same. You can't occupy both spaces. And this is where the conversation occurs. I hope that made sense, and I hope it was something to think about. And I hope it alleviated a lot of friction and stress. It certainly did with me when I realized why the fuck I've been fighting with so many guys. I'm trying to bring the objectivity closer to my subjective personal life, and I can't. I can only converse and relate between the two. Anyway, something to think about. I'll talk to you later, guys. Feel free to link and share my videos around, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. If you want to say thanks, there are donation options below this content. I really appreciate it. Cheers.